Let me see if I. Let me clear out my throat. Oh, Stone Cold needs to clear out his throat. Let me see if I can do this. Like the idiot cuz. Where's that guy anyways? He's probably being a little cuz somewhere. So let's see if I can do this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our wrestling podcast. So, without further ado, the following podcast is scheduled for one fall. And today's topic, the greatest wrestlers to have never won a world title. You ain't gonna hear Stone Cold Steve Austin's name on that list. Why? What? Because I'm one of the greatest of all time. What? Won a millennium titles. What? So let these two jackasses take it away.
Welcome to the O.W.P. This is our wrestling podcast. This is Dave along with Jess.
Hello.
And it's Cuz's day off today. Fuck that guy.
Come here, you fat mouth little stupid bitch.
Bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. And now on to our topic today, greatest wrestlers that have never won a world title. As always, you can reach us via Instagram at OWP19. I'm sorry, OWP2019. I keep doing that. I will try to fix it.
Fuck.
SoundCloud at Our Wrestling Podcast. YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel, or just do the easy thing. Download WrestlePost at no charge to you and join us along with other great podcasts of the day. Jess, this is your idea. Something new, something fresh. We have another week off with Cuz. Thank God. I might have to strangle him. You know,
Don't worry. I'll chime in and contribute the way Cuz does. So
no, fantastic.
he's going to hear this and be like all mad, which I know he contributes a lot more. I have to say that up front because if I don't, he'll get all like,
Don't fucking dare start getting fucking pissy with me. Is that clear?
Yes, Jeff.
Good. Now just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, he does contribute.
but I will be
a lot.
chiming in as Cuz, just like
The edits and the ads, it's a lot of work, and I understand.
we get it.
I like to mess with him though because he's such a Cuz.
Don't worry. I'll be Cuz.
Hey, look at me. Look, excuse me. Hey. Don't come in here acting like jumped up like some little gym bunny. Now do me a favour. That's his job. You fuck off.
Please don't. Okay. Anyway, so we talked about this topic over the week, and it is interesting, but we do need to lay down some ground rules so people don't eat up our.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, this is part, we do everything part 1, part 2, blah blah blah. Because we try to keep these episodes now like within like 40 minutes or so, because we don't want to like turn people off by the length of our episodes. But if we did greatest wrestlers to never win a world championship, it could be a 9-hour episode. I mean, honestly, there's so many people. So this will be part 1, but we're gonna lay down some ground rules. First of all, the world championship we're considering we're classifying as world titles are the NWA World Heavyweight Championship through to where it turned to WCW up until WCW went out of business in 2001 and Vince bought it. Not the WCW version that Vince had like The Rock win or enter the WWE with Booker T. I'm talking about 2001 in March or April, whenever the purchase went through. That's when it dies. That's when the legacy of WCW dies. So NWA Championship, WCW Championship, that is considered a World Heavyweight Championship. Not the reincarnation of the NWA title that they tried to bring back in 93 that Wyndham won. Ironically, we'll be talking about Wyndham later, or anything like that. I'm talking the NWA pulled away in 1991, and then that became the WCW Heavyweight Championship. Flair was considered the first WCW Heavyweight Champion, and then it went on to 2001. So that's what we're considering. Then on the other spectrum, we're also considering the WWF Heavyweight Championship all the way through to the WWE Heavyweight Championship, which Kofi Kingston currently holds right now. We are not counting the Universal Championship or the World Heavyweight Championship, the big gold belt that Triple H got awarded to him from Eric Bischoff in 2002. We are not counting that one. So just laying down some ground rules. So if we name someone, they're like, wait a minute, so-and-so did win the Heavyweight Championship. They won the World Heavyweight Championship. We do not count that. That and the Universal Championship to me are just secondary titles that they made up because they tried to do brand splits. and they tried to have 2 separate champions. So I don't count
clarification, Jess. Raw World Championship right now is what?
The Universal.
Universal meaning it counts or doesn't count?
Does not count.
Got it. I just want to give an example.
No, you're right. I appreciate that. Like, yeah, Universal Championship does not count if they won it. I don't consider them winning a World Heavyweight Championship. If anybody won the World Heavyweight title, even though it was called the World Heavyweight title, that is not the WWE Heavyweight Championship. So, like I said, for example, Chris Benoit won the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 20. That to me is not the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
But he did win the WCW title,
correct,
right before he left.
So Chris Benoit cannot be mentioned in this because he won a heavyweight championship. Very good example.
Yeah.
So I hope that wasn't too confusing. We'll explain more as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're ready to go, Jess,
yep.
I will bring up our first candidate. God, I love this guy. Jesus, he's amazing. I still get mad that Vince fired him. I really do, because I'm like, what? How could you ever fire this guy? This guy is a legend, a living legend, one of the best ever. He is a 4 horseman. He is probably the epitome of the 4 horsemen. Whenever I think of the 4 horsemen, sometimes I think of him before Flair, I swear to God, because he has that presence of a horseman.
He was the enforcer, Dave. He was the enforcer.
He was the enforcer, absolutely. I mean, that was his name, the enforcer, Arn Anderson. That's who we're talking about, right? And I can tell you, it's pretty incredible when you really think about this man's career and the fact that he never won a world title. And it's not even close. He didn't win any kind of weird world title like under the rules that we had. He never got above and beyond even like television titles and tag team titles.
Yeah, he never even won the U.S. Heavyweight Championship ever.
Yeah, I find that absolutely fascinating. I mean, we can go down the list real quick. So with WCW and Jim Crockett, he was NWA WCW World Television Champion 4 times. He was a national tag team champion with them, with Ole. He was also a 5-time WCW World Tag Team Champion with Tully Blanchard, Larry Zbyszko, Bobby Eaton, Paul Roma. Paul Roma. I love Paul Roma.
I know you do.
NWA World Tag Team Championships with Paul Roma. World Television Championship NBA in the tournament. It just goes on and on. Even in WWE, he actually did win a tag team title with Tully Blanchard with the Brainbusters, which was a fantastic freaking tag team. If not for contract disputes and things like that, I don't know if they would have left. It's just freaking phenomenal. I can't say enough about this guy. The best spine buster in the business. Nobody had better grit in there. Nobody could tell a story better than Arn at times. Jess, I'm sorry, I'm hogging the mic.
The sad thing is like I agree with everything you're saying. The sad thing is he's one of those guys that's going to be like the glue that holds everything together, or the root that holds the tree. Someone like, just to keep it simple, Flair will get all the accolades, and Arn Anderson will not. However, without Arn Anderson being that root or that glue, I don't know if Flair would have. I mean, we all know that Flair probably would have still been fantastic, but the Horsemen as a group, without Anderson, I don't know if it would have been as successful, because Anderson was that important to that group, behind the scenes, in front of the camera. And also, I mean, now that we're talking about in front of the camera, not only was he a fantastic worker, but Arn Anderson was a fucking hell of a promo. He really was.
He's so calm.
Your response. They say adversity introduces a man to himself. Well, standing right here, I know who I am. That man, Sting, is a guy that has been going through red tape all my life. They've always called Arn Anderson an overachiever. I wasn't big enough. I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't flashy enough. Well, the setting is the Omni, the place where Vader dropped you for 3 months. Broken ribs. I don't know if they're thinking, give Arn Anderson to Sting in a non-title match. Give him a warm-up to get his mind right. And he don't stand anything to lose. Well, Sting, if you think you're going to use me for a warm-up, understand one thing. My focus is on myself and that World Heavyweight title. If I have to beat you once to get a title shot, that's what I'll do. Because in that very same Omni.
I got lost. I should have probably stopped that earlier.
No, it's fine.
He's so
all
fucking
over
good. Like, he's ridiculous at how good he was. He was like Jake Roberts.
But to his point, that was a come up match for the real match.
Right.
Right. And that promo makes it makes it matter. And that's the kind of stuff that, like you said, Arn Anderson is the glue. Arn Anderson, I hate to say it, is the come up. We talked about he lost the television title to the freaking
to the Renegade. But to cut it short, because we got to keep moving. Like, honestly,
Sure.
like, he didn't even win any of the championships that I disqualified at the beginning of the. He never won. Well, obviously, he wasn't in wrestling when the Universal title. He never won even the second coming of the NWA championship in '93. He never won anything like that. Like, it sucks really bad. Anderson never even won. Like I said, won the U.S. Heavyweight Championship. The only title he won in WWF was the tag team. He was only there a year, but still. And he was in WCW/NWA for a long time and was a dominant television champion when the TV title meant something. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. And Anderson was one of the big reasons as to why that title actually meant something. But, I mean, he never won anything else besides tag titles and the TV championship. And he did those expertly. But unfortunately, no U.S. titles, no World Heavyweight Championships, not even once. It sucks. But I'm glad he made this list because we can talk about him.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm ready to do a whole bio on Arn Anderson, to be honest with you. I would be all about it. And we talked about it earlier. You know, we talked about the scissor fight, and that's kind of the big accolades that Arn Anderson's gotten on our podcast thus far. And I was talking to you last week. I said, Jesse, he's so much more than that stupid incident. He's so much more than that. And he's by far one of my favorite.
It's sad we only have a few minutes to cover him, but like if we could cover him, there's Arn Anderson's super important to the business and the industry of pro wrestling. So
he's super important to wrestling, super important to why WCW lasted. Yeah, all that.
We got to move on, but I'm sorry. But I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah. No, I'll give one more thing. One of my favorite wrestlers, if not my favorite wrestler in WCW during that time frame. I mean, I'll put it out there. Fantastic.
Hey, Dave, it's cuz he was a discus thrower as well.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
As well.
You do seriously surprise me. Thank you, Chef. I was hoping you'd see that. I mean, I'd give it all I got. Give you 110.
You surprised me to how shit you are.
So our
okay,
next,
cuz, go back to sleep. All right, cuz. Thank you, cuz. Go ahead, Dave. Next wrestler.
No worries. I'm just getting to the good stuff here, the nitty gritty. Next one we're going to talk about is also he's kind of a WCW staple for sure, kind of in and out. We're going to talk about Barry Windham.
One of the most just like Anderson. I think people appreciate Anderson more than you believe. And I don't mean that I'm not like shitting on you.
I understand.
But I mean, I know you love Anderson and you don't think he gets the credit. I think that inside the industry, Anderson gets all the credit he deserves. However, Barry Windham, to me, is the way you feel about Anderson, I feel about Barry Windham. Like
I know you're a closet fan, bro.
He was so not even a closet fan. I'll fucking announce it from the goddamn hilltops. I love Barry Windham. Just born with, Blackjack Mulligan was his father, and so usually sons or daughters, they have a hard time living up to the legacy. But Windham was so physically gifted, and let me give you an example. He never really worked out. He was known for fucking Jack and Coking it every night. And he would Jack and Coke. He would drink Jack and Coke. And everybody has so many stories about it. And but he never really worked out. He would every now and then go through phases of cardio and whatever. But he was naturally like a 6'6", 6'7", like a natural like 265, 70 pounds. And just had that physique that you would get jealous of people for, where they could, like fucking eat shit and never work out and look okay, like look decent. Like Windham was never muscular per se, but he always just like looked proportioned. Like, does that make any sense? Like, but
he was just always a big son of a bitch.
He moved like, I always say that phrase, he moved like water in there. Barry Windham moved like water in there. He was so fun to watch, and being a guy that was 6'6" or 7. And 270 pounds, like I said, he would do moves off the top rope. He did the superplex back when the superplex off the top rope was like a high risk move, and
especially for a big man too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, and he was so good, and he could work with everybody. He had great matches in like 88, 87 with Flair. He actually won one of the World Heavyweight Championships that I don't count. He won the reincarnation of the NWA Heavyweight Championship. From the great Muta of all people in 1993. And even though it does not count to get on this list, I don't count that as the official heavyweight championship. Here it is. I mean, it was a decent match at Super Brawl 3. And they were trying, what WCW was trying to do at the time was Vader was the heavyweight champion, and they wanted to revitalize the NWA heavyweight championship, which the NWA was still kind of a governing board. So they also teamed with New Japan to try to make it happen. And so it just never worked out. I mean, why would you, as a company, try to bring in another heavyweight championship to dilute your own heavyweight championship? But of course, that's what WCW did because, WCW,
they did a lot of weird
they like to do that shit. But and Barry Windham had really fucking cool music too. Like really, it was really lame, but it was fun too.
You push that through? Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's such. This album was called Slam Jam #1, and it was so dumb. I know this is a copy from like a favorite rock song. I just can't remember who, but like the music, the lyrics were so dumb. But like it was, I just remember this music going. That kind of fits Barry Windham. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's like bar music you'd put on.
Right.
It was called Smokin' and Chokin', and I'm not kidding you right now.
Yeah, Smoking and Choking.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know I put on the instrumental beginning. This is a treat, Dave. A real treat.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh.
Keep it going while we talk through it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, yeah, I mean, just go through the accolades while the music is playing. Florida Championships, he was a global tag team champion with Ron Bass, that guy. Florida Heavyweight Championship 6 times there. Tag team championship twice there with Mike Graham and Scott McGee. Florida Television Championship 3 times, North American Tag Team Championship with Mike Graham, Southern Heavyweight Championship 2 times, United States Tag Champs with 3 times with Mike Rotunda, better known as IRS, right? If I got that right.
Yes, you are correct.
Jim Crockett Promotions and WCW. He was United States Heavyweight Champion. United States Tag Team.
Yeah, Barry won all the secondary championships. Like he was U.S. champion. He was a great U.S. champion. He was television champion. He was tag team champions. He went to WWF a couple times. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I'm so dumb. He was actually world tag team champions with Mike Rotundo. I think you mentioned it earlier, right? WWF.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, and a lot of people forget that he was in WWF that early. He was part of WrestleMania 1.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a 2-time champ with Rotunda, according to this list.
No, that is true. But like he was, a lot of people would not peg Barry Windham as being in WrestleMania 1, and he was.
No.
Like,
go back and check it out.
Yeah, people don't think about that. Like that's crazy. Barry Windham's been around for a long time.
Yeah, and from '93 to 2003, he's never been lower than 100 out of the top 500 of PWI for top wrestling for that time frame for a 10-year period. I mean, obviously he was good. He was really good.
He was really good in there. A lot of people forget about him. I cannot say enough about him. Like he's really, really good.
Why do you think he didn't get the nod, Jess? I mean,
I think that, like in '93 when he won the watered down version of the NWA championship or whatever, like Flair came back at the same time. I think Windham was used as like the guy that people beat a lot. And I think it sucks that happened, but I think it was that. And like I said, here's him winning against the Great Muta at Super Bowl #3.
That's how close it was, Rick. You're exactly right. He went for it, he missed.
I think personally Muta went for it too quick. He should have softened him up more.
So here, like I said, like they brought the NWA Heavyweight Championship back to pretty much like, I don't know what to draw interest in it. They had a partnership. They've always had a good partnership, WCW, with New Japan. And so they were trying to really bring it back. I think that was the problem. But the problem is the American audience didn't watch Japanese wrestling. So, you bring another World Heavyweight Championship back, and this happens.
He got burned with it the first time. I don't understand why he'd do it again.
Clothesline, Windham. Windham double up. The DDT. Windham covers 1, 2, 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner and new NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Barry Windham.
As a Windham fan, I remember really being happy but I knew the fact that basically the reason why they brought the NWA title back was Flair left WWF at that point and came back actually on this event. And, you know, it was really all set up so Flair could win his, and I'm doing air quotes, 10th heavyweight championship. You know, so it just kind of, it was just a gimmick, and they were just trying to, like, you know, progress a storyline with Flair and Wyndham. But it sucks that Wyndham was used like a pawn. You know, Wyndham actually was really, to me, he was his best here in '93. And even though it was like the quote unquote, air quotes again, NWA heavyweight title that they brought back and revitalized, like, it was cool to see Wyndham wrestle and act like a world champion and try to, which showed me that Wyndham actually could have been a world champion at some point. It just never happened for him. So unfortunately, even though he won this NWA title, this version of the NWA title in '93, I don't.
Do you have? I mean, maybe you brought it up and I missed it, but I'm still trying to figure out why. Was there a why behind it? Did he not get along with the boys in the back?
No, not at all. Wyndham was more than a team player and more than a favorite in the back. It's just I
guess I wonder why it never really happened.
I think it goes to me to where I can have this favorite, but you know, I think I say it in another podcast, Dave, and I don't remember which ones, but like, not everybody could be world champion. You know, Kurt Hennig should have been world champion. No, he shouldn't have. Rick Rude should have been world champion. That's debatable, but no, he shouldn't have. You know what I mean? Like, there's people that shouldn't have been world champion. Jake Roberts, he was so talented. He should have been world champion. No, he shouldn't have.
Let me push you a little further before you get into. Yeah, and you're right. Jake Roberts, same thing. But do you feel that Barry Windham should have been a world champion?
I think in WCW, I think absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think there's no reason. All their years of flux from like 90 to like 94 before Bischoff really figured shit out. Like, there's no reason why he couldn't have been world champion at least once. There's no reason.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree completely. So I'm with you on that. I just wanted to kind of.
I know I rambled on. We got to move on. I get it, but I love.
No, it's good. I think we can leave it right there. I just wanted to push that out there because he is one of those guys. You're like, how did that not happen?
Yeah,
it's so odd. Our next one is more of a recent name, so recent that he's still active, incredibly active. He might be off this list in the next, next few years. I mean, it's a good chance.
I fucking hope so.
Yeah, and by the way, you book Samoa Joe to lose every week, you know. So,
what's it, Joe? It's Samoa Joe, Dave?
Samoa Joe. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm listening for a second. I love the music, and also I can't even begin to tell you how much I love when he comes down and everyone's like, Joe.
That started in TNA, by the way.
It did. Well, you know what I miss a little bit? You know, get into it. I miss the chants in TNA and all these other ones where they
Joe's gonna kill you.
Oh, Joe's gonna kill you. I loved it, man. There is nobody with more tenacity and just grit and so much like, oh, he's so focused and like he's gonna kick your ass. He has that look like, I will kick your ass, and I'm not even a bit concerned about it. And even if he does lose every week, Jess, I mean, which he's not doing now.
You know, well, I mean, he's older now and everything, and I'm really glad. When you look at the climate of today's wrestling and the way the WWE pushes people and the way WWE does business, I am so glad that he's a part of it, because let me tell you, like, when I first saw his stuff in Ring of Honor, and then he went to TNA, and then he went to NXT, I love Samoa Joe. And
it's amazing.
I could ramble on forever, but I'm just going to say that simple phrase. I love Samoa Joe. He's an amazing athlete. He's an amazing pro wrestler. He was a huge part of TNA. TNA screwed him up. He could have been the savior of TNA. He could have been the guy that pushed TNA when TNA came close, actually, and they were at a point where like people actually liked them as the alternative brand, and they did well, and like, but they fucked him up as usual, because you know it's TNA. But like Samoa Joe, God, man, like it sucks because he's in his 40s, and like I would love to say I want to see him as the world champion, and this list is people who've never won the world championship. He's never won the Universal. He's never won anything like that. But even if he did, it wouldn't matter because it doesn't count. But I wish he's one of the greatest wrestlers to never win a world championship. And again, I don't count TNA when they were partnering with the NWA. I don't count that. I don't count the TNA Heavyweight Championship because it wasn't really, at one time it was all right. You know, TNA was trying to. They were getting like a 1.1, 1.2 rating on Spike, which is not bad at all. at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, like, unfortunately, I think Angle was champion during that time or something. Like Samoa Joe, I don't give him those dues. I just wish Samoa Joe was on the bigger stage, WWF, and they treated him, or WWE, I should say, and they treated him with respect and like they gave him something. But you know, he's won the US title, hasn't he? Or no?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, he's won other championships in WWE, NXT championship and all that, but like he's never won any of the big titles. And
well, we'll start with the recent ones and we'll work them back, man. I mean, so ton of stuff in TNA, but WWE, he's an NXT champion twice there. He won the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic with Finn Balor. That's pretty cool. And he is a 2-time U.S. champion. As we roll back, he's a TNA Triple Crown champion, Grand Slam champion. Let's see, Super X Cup he's won. He won the TNA X Division Championship Tournament in 2014. King of the Mountain, 2008. The X Division Championship 5 times in TNA. TNA World Tag Team Championship by himself, by the way, one time with Magnus. That's kind of fun. And he did, like I said, he had that TNA World Heavyweight Championship once. He had the Television Championship once. He was Rookie of the Year in 2000. According to SoCal Uncensored. I don't know how viable you want to push that through. So let's see what else. He was a PWA Pure Wrestling Champion one time for their Heavyweight Championship. And kind of, you know, that's on his way up, right? So he was an Extreme 8 Tournament Champion in Extreme Wrestling. Pro Wrestling Illustrated gave him the Feud of the Year with Kurt Angle. And that's rightfully freaking so. That shit was amazing, right?
Oh, yeah, they had great matches. No question.
Oh, yeah. And the feud was good. I mean, the heat was there. So, you know, and we haven't even listed all his accolades. I mean, the guy it's endless, you know. And for a man who is in his 40s, Jess, he still moves like a cat. He's close to 300 pounds. He doesn't get winded in there. He's got great ring shape that nobody will ever understand. And I think the world of this guy. I think he is an absolute beast. And no matter what you give this guy, it will never be enough because he's just that good. Just that good.
You know, yeah, and I'm kind of conflicting my own self. You know, it's like I always say when people bitch and they're like, Jake Roberts should have been world champion, Rick Rude, Kurt Hennig, Roddy Piper, and I'm like, no, they shouldn't have. Like, people have roles to play, and they never really should have won the heavyweight title. It just, you know, I say that Samoa Joe is one of the greatest heavyweight greatest wrestlers to never win the heavyweight championship, or one of the big ones. But and I know I say I wish he would have. But at the same time, like, I understand the roles that have to be played. But at the same time, like, at the time that Roberts and Rowdy Piper and Kurt Hennig and all that stuff did not win the world champion, who was the world champion more often than not? Hulk Hogan. So, I mean, but he was a major box office attraction. The wrestling doesn't have that right now. Or 10 years ago, they don't really have that. I know people want to say John Cena, but that's not true. Like,
titles matter than just.
And I'm not shitting on John Cena. I don't want to get into John Cena because he's a whole different controversial topic. But I mean, like, Samoa Joe, if when wrestling was in the state of flux, I would love to have seen him won some version of a heavyweight championship, whether it was coming to the WWE or, you know, TNA getting their shit together and making it.
Who knows? Nice. Maybe it'll happen.
It might. You never know. Kofi could lose to Samoa Joe tomorrow, and I would be like, oh fuck, he won it. You know, that's great. But unfortunately, like, yeah, he hasn't even won the titles that I've disqualified, really. And I love Samoa Joe, and like, you know, I again, you know, if he never wins a World Heavyweight Championship, that's fine, because Jake didn't need to, and neither did Piper. And I do believe that everyone has a role to play, and not everyone should be world champion, especially if you have a dominant world champion like Hogan or Austin or someone like that, you know. But that's why I'm glad he made this list, Dave. I'm glad he made this list.
Oh, yeah, because we could talk about him.
Next gentleman.
Next one. And it's funny because I find this very interesting. I just want to mention this because Jess always thinks of the best ideas, I think, when it comes to a topic, and always the best people to put in that topic. But for some reason, I'm like, how is this guy not in Jess's list? And maybe he just had him outside of it, but when I put him in, Jess is like, yeah, we're going to put this guy in. And I felt so proud of myself. I just have to say that. and we're talking about Magnum TA.
First, I never bring him up, but I've always loved Magnum. Magnum was not a world champion for a very different, tragic reason.
Yes.
And Magnum TA was he was the second coming, or he was the guy that was supposed to combat what Vince was doing over on the other channel. And one of this guy's matches, Magnum TA, against Tully Blanchard in Starrcade 85, it was for the U.S. Heavyweight Championship that Blanchard held and Tully won it back here. Tully was multiple-time U.S. heavyweight champion. Dave will get to that in a second. But an amazing U.S. heavyweight champion for that. And him and Tully had not only one of the best feuds for the U.S. title, and yes, I am very well aware of the feud of Roddy Piper and Greg Valentine, which was also fantastic. Yeah. But like it was a cage match, I quit match. You would think, wow, what an over gimmick piece of shit. Go back and watch from Starrcade 85, Tully Blanchard versus defending his U.S. title against Tully Blanchard in a steel cage I quit match for that title. It is one of the best, not only one of the best U.S. title matches I've ever seen, but it is one of the best pro wrestling matches I've ever seen. The ending sequence is such a fucking piece of art and such an amazing ending sequence to this day. And that was in 1985. I'm like, God, these guys were so fucking good. Both of them, even Blanchard included. We could have thrown Blanchard on this list, but he's not going to be on this list right now. But Blanchard could easily be on this list that we're talking about.
Definitely.
Right,
yeah, we'll get there.
This is only part one. But
sure,
Magnum TA he was scheduled to beat Flair for the NWA Heavyweight Championship. So he almost didn't make this list. Unfortunately, he wrapped his Porsche around a telephone pole and he was paralyzed for a long time. Now, thankfully, he could walk very, very limited. He's in a wheelchair most of the time, but it ended his wrestling career. If it had not been for that, he was scheduled to beat Flair for the NWA Heavyweight Championship in like 86, 85. Like they were going to do that. That was just, it was in stone. Flair said it in his books. Flair said it on documentaries. Magnum TA was that good. He was like 6'5", 6'6", 265 pounds. He had like long blonde hair. He was in shape. Like he had a little hairy chest, a little sexy. Like he just ridiculous.
Well, he had that Magnum PI look.
And he could actually cut a promo. Point. Magnum was really good, man.
Cases, and a whole lot of people ask me, why, after all you've been through, did you decide to walk out there and hand over the title? Well, I did what I had to do because that was right. The NWA decreed it, and like it or not, they are the governing body here that I have to deal with. Now, you can't live in the past. You can't live on what you've done or your accomplishments because you're only as good every day as you can perform when you walk in that ring. So Nikita Koloff, walking around here, calling himself already United States Heavyweight Champion. Well, I hope you're celebrating a lot. I hope you're drinking a whole lot of potato vodka in those celebrations because I'm not sitting around feeling sorry for myself.
He was awesome, dude. He could do anything on the mic. He could do anything in the ring.
I hope you're drinking a lot of potato vodka. His finishing move
was the belly-to-belly suplex, which Shane Douglas would kind of like emulate later. And Shane Douglas would say, I took it from Magnum. And it's what Bailey does now, the belly-to-belly. Yeah. It's Magnum's move. And he did it so good. And like he was legitly booked to beat Flair. That was in the plans. They wanted to put the rocket on Magnum. Not to say that Flair would have died at that point and they wouldn't have ever, Flair I'm sure would have beaten him back at one point because that's what Flair did. But
yeah, he's a heel champion.
But Magnum was that over, dude. You heard the girls screaming in the background. He was that over. He was I'm not saying he would have been bigger than Hulk, but the NWA's plan was to use him as the face champion to kind of try to combat what Vince and Hulk were doing on the other channel. And this was 85, 86. So they were trying to stop Vince early. Like they were trying to stop him.
You said what could have happened with Flair at that point, and I think he still would have been pretty okay. But you think about the likes of Sting and other people that may have not gotten much of a chance. I mean, it could have been a completely different landscape if he had not crashed his car.
Yeah, no. So he didn't make this list tragically because he got in a car accident that paralyzed him and definitely ended his wrestling career. And thankfully, like I said, he could walk very limited right now, but he, for the most part, rides around in a wheelchair. And Magnum TA to me is like one of the best wrestlers that never were. And he makes this list with my head down because like he would have, and he should have, and he was going to win the World Heavyweight Championship from Flair. But unfortunately, it didn't happen.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Well, we moving on up. We've got our last one. And I have a few beefs with this, but I got to tell you, this guy had the star power, the push. He had the crowd behind him, especially when he went overseas, but never took that brass ring per se. I have my reasons as to why it happened. Just may agree or disagree with some of it. But I think at the end of the day, we all agree that he kind of got in his own way. Things happen with a Porsche. Sometimes you maybe you over accelerate. You did something wrong. You didn't mean to wrap that Porsche around a pole, right? But this guy tend to have more issues with demons that you would like to hope he could have controlled, because it could have been a completely different landscape as well. We're talking about Davey Boy Smith.
No, like, he was one of Vince's chosen ones. He really was. And his biggest match, obviously, I mean, he won the tag titles, the WWF Tag Team Championship with the British Bulldog tag team with Dynamite Kid, which we've talked about in past episodes. I'm sure we'll talk about Dynamite Kid soon enough. But Davey Boy Smith was actually groomed to be the WWF Heavyweight Champion. He could just never get there. Vince always put him in position. Vince loved his size. He was 280 pounds of fucking raw muscle, bloated steroid muscle, I'm sure. But I mean, and he wasn't a very tall guy. He was like 6 foot tall, 6'1", which is a big human being. Don't get me wrong. But his big moment was beating Bret Hart at SummerSlam '92 to win the Intercontinental Championship, and that ended up becoming Bret's catapult to win the Heavyweight Championship. But really, it was actually supposed to be Davey Boy's. Vince
that was PWI's match of the year, by the
Vince
way.
loves big boys, man. He loved Davey Boy, and when Davey Boy came back and started pushing as a singles, I mean, WrestleMania 7, he fought the Warlord in that match, and it was a decent match. You would think that, fuck, that match sounds like shit. But if you go back and watch it, it was a nicely, slowly worked match, very careful, and it was to put Davey Boy over. Vince wanted him to be in the world title picture, and Vince wanted him to be heavyweight champion. It's been documented. And what ended up happening after Bret put the title, Bret, gained a lot of popularity in the locker room and with management because he put Davey Boy over. He did the right thing at SummerSlam '92. It showed that Bret was a fucking master in that ring. Bret's awesome. But he could elevate other people, which is what Vince wanted. Not necessarily, but again, Hulk Hogan was a major attraction. He deserved to be heavyweight champion. He made millions of dollars, but you needed the talented guys under him like Orndorff and Piper, even though Piper wasn't like a technical wizard. But I mean, you needed Savage, Kurt Hennig later, Rick Rude. You needed those people under Hulk to elevate him and make Hulk look good because it made business better. So, but Vince always loved Davey Boy. And so Bret ended up becoming the guy at the end of '92 to win the title. But honestly, it was written in the stars for Davey Boy to eventually win the WWF Heavyweight Championship. But Dave, he didn't do it. He even went to WCW in '93 and had notable great matches with Vader. One of them was at Slamboree '93 against Vader. Great match. And then he never won the heavyweight title from Vader. He never even won a title in WCW, by the way. But he won, multiple tag team championships in WWF. He won the Intercontinental Championship, as we noted, in WWF, and he was a European champion, the first European champion, by the way, in the WWF. Yep. So Davey Boy, don't get me wrong, Hall of Fame career, a lot of accolades, but he never won the big one because it wasn't in the cards for him because he flunked drug tests, he did a lot of shit he shouldn't have done, and he got fired here and there from the WWF a couple times, and then he, like I said, he went to WCW in '93. He came back in WWF in like '94, but they never really used him to his full potential. He had a couple good matches with Bret. Then he went to WCW. After Bret got screwed, he sucked in WCW. Obviously, they didn't use him right. Then he came back to the WWF in '99. They didn't use him right there. I mean, he was not right mentally. He had a lot of demons, like Dave was saying. It's sad the way his career ended. He passed away way too early, but he never won a heavyweight championship. But he's a great wrestler, and he deserves to make this list.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just realized he died in 2002 from a heart attack.
Yeah.
And he was with his girlfriend, who was Bruce Hart's estranged wife.
Oh, don't even get me started. Like, we could go forever about the shitty, controversy that, happened with him.
Wow. That's something else. Goodness gracious.
But nonetheless, he makes this list and he rounds the list out, and he was one of the greatest wrestlers to never win a version of the version that we classify as the heavyweight championship.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think I get, and again, I know, we have a little more time here, but I always say, like, I felt he didn't deserve to win the world title because of what he did and who he was. But you could say that with the push, we kind of went round and round this, and I was kind of giving Jess a hard time. We were texting back and forth, and I was like, "You got to get Davey out of there. I can't stand it," and I really can't because I think you do see all that talent. You see that massive guy, and you see the whole team is behind him, fan base, the back room. Bret's pushing him, putting him over, and he can't get out of his own way. And that just really bothers me. You know, and I look at that and I go, golly,
Dave, it's cuz. Hey, Dave.
Oh God.
He could lift a lot of weights at times.
Yeah, he definitely could push the weights.
Because Triple Jack coffee.
Yeah. How's that? I guess Triple Jack coffee's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's partying with his boys right now. You know,
Joey Ryan sucks. Joey Ryan sucks.
Oh, that's true, Joey Ryan.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't wait to do a podcast on that with him. He's gonna lose his mind.
Oh, Dave, he fell asleep again. He fell asleep again. I'm sorry. So he's like a little baby, a sweet little baby.
Carpet out from under me. Let me ask you one question. Do we have the instant replay rule here in the WWF?
You still there, Dave? Oh man, he may have passed out.
He fell asleep. He's so pissed off about AJ and Braun Strowman.
Dave, he's got to have his
Actually, he's probably watching like the collection section in the WWE Network. He's watching all of Braun Strowman shit right now.
Oh man,
and like clapping.
Dave, are you there, bud?
He's got to be there. He's probably sleeping.
He's passed out. All right. Well, I guess we're gonna have to come up with the name some other time.
He's sleep talking.
He's like, Braun, I love you. Braun, I love you. AJ and Braun, best tag team in the world.
They should be tag team champions. Braun Strowman should be champion.
They should be. They should share the world title, the Universal and the world title.
So it should be Braun Strowman, not Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns. Where the fuck he's sleeping though? Oh man,
he's gotta be because he would try to call back in, or he would just come back in. Right?
No, it shows that he's still in the call. So yeah, he's sleeping. All right. Well, I guess we're going to have to just cut it there.
He's right. Look at me when I'm talking to you. You sit there and call yourself the gorilla, yet you hee-haw out here like a jackass. Woo-hoo!
Well, can't talk to the president like that.
You know, that was our fifth and final. I'm sure we're going to have another 5 round of guys, and it's going to be decent to talk about. And some of them you may feel do deserve it. Some of them you may not feel. You know, I feel Davey shouldn't have deserved it. I think not putting a title on him was probably one of the best decisions that definitely Vince McMahon ever made. And WCW is probably like, yeah, we're not comfortable with that either. There's a reason for it, you know. But there are some people, like I said, Magnum TA, man, just a tragic thing. And man, who knows what wrestling would have been.
What a diverse list. You know, we have like a Magnum TA who was going to win it and tragedy struck, and then Davey Boy who was kind of handed it on a silver platter but kind of couldn't he just kept fucking up, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you have a guy like Samoa Joe who's paid all of his dues and fought his fucking ass off, and people are like, you're gonna fall short. Which again, I don't know. I'm not gonna talk about people individually on this list, but there are people, they gotta play their roles, right? Kurt Hennig, sure. I don't care that he never won a world heavyweight title.
I'm not sure if Kurt Hennig will be on this list.
Kurt Hennig, well, he would be on this list, but he won the AWA Heavyweight Championship, which you could debate on whether. But at the same time, he never won the WWF or the WCW Heavyweight Championship. So, I mean, you know, Kurt Hennig, Rick Rude, Jake Roberts. Again, I love them. I know you did, but not everyone needs to win the world title. God damn it! So that's why this topic was created. However, you have guys like Magnum who were going to. You know, Arn Anderson, who I don't know, I can't say. Maybe Barry Windham should have. Arn Anderson falls in that category to me of people that didn't need to, and it's fine that he didn't. I know.
As always, the Bruce Prichard answer didn't need it, right?
Right,
didn't need it,
which is valid to a certain extent, depending on who you're talking about.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
That's it.
Yeah. You know, and I think that's a great thing about this topic. Just because they weren't champion doesn't mean they deserve to be champion.
Correct.
Doesn't mean they needed to be. Doesn't mean that they didn't get in their own way. And doesn't mean that there couldn't have been tragedies in the way that. It's so many reasons why it didn't happen or why it shouldn't have happened.
Or they came around at the wrong period, the wrong time.
And we'll ask the question every time, Jess, between you and me, did they deserve it? Even though they didn't get it.
No, I don't know what that
means. Yes and you would say yes or no, depending on the person. That's what's so cool about this topic. It can go anywhere. So it's pretty fun. So as always, you can reach us via Instagram.
Steve Austin, he was a good athlete, and he was good. Steve Austin.
You're a first-class cunt.
He had long hair, and
you really don't want Cuz to edit anymore, do you? He's gonna get pissed. And I'm not doing this.
No, he's gonna edit. At the end of this, he's gonna be like, "Hey guys, well, thanks for talking about me." He's gonna edit some little fucking shitty thing. You know.
Yes, Chef, I am.
You are so shit, it's unbelievable.
As always, you can reach us via Instagram at O.W.P 2019, SoundCloud at Our Wrestling Podcast, YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel, or like we always say, do the easy thing and download WrestlePost app at no charge to you. Works on both platforms.
I was just trying
to
insert him in here. I was trying to add Cuz and bring his spirit back. You know what I mean?
Shut up. Turn the volume down, you fat fuck. Look at me.
And don't forget to join us along with
He's going to not appreciate me, but I think that's super selfish on his part. I do.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? I mean, if he wants to be on, he can be on. If he wants to, drink beers with his buddies on a Friday night every other week, then I understand that too.
Whoa, Dave, you don't know that's what he's doing. He's working on other shit. He can't work on our stuff. He said that.
I have photo evidence.
I do too.
1, 2 fucking idiots. Fuck off.
All right, man.
Oh, he's gonna be
that's
so
it
bad.
for us with the O.W.P guys. This is Dave along with Jess.
Standing here with a bunch of idiots. Fuck you all. Good luck. Superstars. Useless.
Oh, have a good one. Oh.